The police raid on a small Kansas newspaper is causing a national uproar as new details of the unlawful intrusion emerge. The warrant that cleared the way for the search of the Marion County Record has now been withdrawn, with the county attorney citing, quote, insufficient evidence. The paper's probe into a local restaurant owner's drunk driving record was reportedly the key motivator for the raid. And it's now been reported that Judge Laura Villar, who signed off on that search warrant, has her own history of 2 DUIs just 8 months apart back in 2012. Local police took computers, cell phones, and reporting material from the newspaper's office and the home of Mr. Ari Melber. And in a tragic turn of events, Joan Meyer, a veteran newswoman and longtime editor of the Marion County Record, collapsed and died the day after the police raided her home. The paper reported her death as being caused by stress beyond her limits and hours of shock and grief. Joining me now, the attorney for the Marion County Record newspaper, Bernard Rhodes. Bernie, thank you for joining us this morning. I just want to get people caught up to speed. Now prosecutors have said that local police had insufficient evidence to raid the Record's offices as well as the Meyer home. All of that seized property has been returned, and from what I've read, those items have now been sent for forensic review. So, Bernie, explain what's the purpose of that forensic review?
Well, Katie, legal term is insufficient evidence. Normal people would call it no evidence. So after the illegal search warrant was withdrawn, my forensic examiner went to Marion so we could establish chain of custody. We've retrieved those items. They're now at my forensic examiner's office. I went there yesterday. We established a protocol for searching them. Before we can search them, we have to what we do call a forensic image to make sure that we don't leave evidence of foot tracks on there. They took 6 computers, 3 phones, 2 hard drives, and a router. So it's going to take through the weekend just to secure all the information before we can start looking at it, Katie.
So this is not done and over with. This case is now being looked into by the Kansas Bureau of Investigation. Is the Record working with the investigators, the Marion County Record, the newspaper, and what are you hoping will come from their oversight or their investigation at this time?
What we're hoping is that there'll be an investigation into not the Record, but the police and the sheriff's office. We keep talking about the Marion City Police. And the police chief there was clearly the instigator of this. He started the investigation. He applied for the warrant. He executed the warrant. In fact, Katie, he personally went to the newspaper's offices to conduct the search while he sent other officers to Ari Melber and his mother's homes to sit with them to make sure they didn't do anything for 2 hours until he could finish searching the Record's office, and then went there and personally searched the home of a 98-year-old woman.
And sadly, as we noted, Bernie, the funeral for Joan Meyer, it's actually today. Her son said she was actually in good health prior to that raid and that the stress of that event contributed to her death. How is Ari holding up? How's the family doing?
I can tell you, Katie, that I first heard about this about 8 o'clock on the evening of the search. I was told to call Ari on his mother's landline at 10 o'clock because he didn't have his cell phone. It was taken from him. I was actually talking to him that night, and he's explaining that I can't send him an email because they've taken the paper's network server. So he suggests I use his old Illinois.edu email address from when he was a professor. And he's telling me it's at Illinois. I could hear Joan Meyer in the background say, now, Eric, tell him he doesn't have to use a capital I in Illinois to get that to you. I mean, it's just chilling to know that a day later she was dead. I have the coroner's report. She died of a cardiac arrest. And the coroner's report talks in detail about the stress caused by this event.
Bernie, before I have to let you go, you sent a very strongly and very good letter on behalf of your client to the chief of police. And you basically said, this letter offers you an opportunity to mitigate damages going forward. If I were you, I would jump at this opportunity. Bernie, have they jumped at the opportunity?
They've not only jumped, they've taken a step back. They won't talk to me. The chief has never responded. The city council has never responded. The city council is having a meeting next week. They sent out their agenda. It says in all caps, they will not talk about what happened. And are you ready for this? With 47 exclamation points.
Unbelievable. Bernie Rhodes, it's always so good to have some insight into what's happening over there. You know, sometimes we're in our little pockets of this country and we need to know that local journalism is still alive and they're fighting and they're covering corruption and they're making sure that stuff is exposed. So thanks for being here, and please come back and keep us posted on what's going on. I appreciate it.
Thanks for having, because we need to talk about this. So the next time a road cop has this idea, he thinks twice.
Absolutely. Accountability is next for them.